right, everyone. The week is finally over. We know it's been a rough week. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what's happening in the world. Let's talk about how I can turn that down and to the right to up and to the left. Let me tell you a
solved
little
the
secret.
markets. You solved the markets.
Solved the market for you. We got crypto talk, stock talk, and some big baby formula talk. And of course, winners, losers content. Let's get into it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, everyone, we are back with another action-packed episode of Group Chat. Let's just dive into it. It is turmoil in the streets. What's interesting is we're dealing with all these problems, macro problems all over the world. And obviously, everyone's glued. Like, I never really watch TV, but I'm watching CNBC and Bloomberg every morning and watching what appears to be a guarantee read every single day.
Yep.
So what I did was I turned my phone around and I said, up and to the left.
And what happened?
It's up. Everything's up. If you turn your phone upside down,
Oh, got it.
it's up and to the left.
Yeah. I hear your strategy, but I don't know if that helps anyone's bank account.
No, you can't look at your bank account. You can't look at your portfolio, but you flip your phone around, you feel a lot better, up and to the left. Here's the thing. Despite all the things that are happening with specifically interest rates, Jerome Powell gets a second term. Apparently he's doing a great job.
Jerome Powell is the stock market's enemy number one right now. And it's the balance of the Fed caring about inflation and the really only tool left is raising rates. Yeah. So if you think about the logic, which is going to punish like a lot of Americans, is you're basically intentionally causing a recession to intentionally slow demand, to intentionally like have people afford less shit and hope that's the solution to getting prices down. So they're basically saying Americans need near-term pain. Like economy has to slow. And that's our tool. And I know that's, I asked this last episode. No one can explain to me how raising interest rates will have China stop a lockdown or how it's going to stop the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah, I think here's the reality. Unfortunately, the thing that has the biggest impact is just inflation in general. And, whether it's the price of food, price of oil, price of whatever, cars, homes, that is having a bigger impact than all those macro things. Obviously, the Russia-Ukraine thing has affected gas prices.
And food, which is what every American does. They eat and they fill up gas.
And they
unless
have
you have
gas.
a Tesla.
And they have gas.
Yeah. Unless you have a Tesla. But no, that's two of the most important things that affect average Americans' lives the Fed cannot control. Gas prices and food.
Yep.
I talked to someone that's really smart on the markets and, specifically technology, why, that what's going on. So basically, obviously, a few different things, but what's happening right now when you see some of these names that are down like 70, 80, 90%, and then you look at their numbers and you're like, this makes no sense. You're like, why would this company be worth 90% less when they're doing more revenue and whatnot? And we can get into it when we get into some earnings. But China's like the macro level, there's been a huge ETF sell-off, okay? All these ETFs have dumped, you name it, your favorite growth tech company. They've just indiscriminately sold all of them, which has caused them to go down 80, 90%. And now it's a game of chicken. Basically, what they've said is that what I've heard is the ETFs have sold off, but the quants and funds have not. So basically, and retail hasn't sold off on these specific growth tech names that we all follow. So basically, until they basically they're predicting that there could be another wave of sell-offs from them, and then you basically get to the bottom, which is where like there's no bid for the companies, and then that's what you call capitulation, and then people get back in. So people still are like nervous about this isn't the bottom, and there's no liquidity to like buy these names.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is like,
because they're not metric based right now. The valuations for these companies are not metric based.
Yeah.
And when there's no liquidity, the metrics don't matter because no one's buying it.
Yeah, that's really the scary part, is like there's no impetus to buy.
Yep.
That is the problem. And you know, and you're looking for that catalyst, and you're looking for that news piece. Retail investors don't dictate the stock market. The funds do. Big money does. And there's cash on the sidelines. We know that. There's cash everywhere. It's just a matter of what will give people the confidence to dive in. I don't see anything in this exact moment. And I understand why every day the market sells off substantially, because at the end of the day, they're just like, why should we take that risk, inherent risk? Yields for bonds have gone up. So we get it. Like, just looking at it, like it's everything in investing is like in real life. It's psychological. It's why they call it consumer confidence, because the consumer spends money regardless if they have it or not, if they have the confidence that things are going well.
Yep.
Same with investors. They were bidding up these companies that were not profitable, that were not healthy, and they had no problem with it for 2 years. And now they do, because they lost their confidence. So, I mean, if you look at like just the confidence of deploying money or spending money right now for anybody is really, really low. And, I don't think it's one incident that's going to change it. Like it has to be like a series of things. And that just means time. So this is not, unfortunately, going to be solved anytime soon.
No, and I think at this point, for the stock market's perspective, since the metrics, a lot of these companies aren't trading on metrics, it's all based on macro. So something has to give. And here are the things that are driving it. Inflation has to come down. That's probably the number one thing that can get the stock market going again. Russia, Ukraine, some sort of like resolution there, and China lockdowns. Those are the three big macro things that if you can get good news on any of those three, you can see the stock market rebound pretty quickly. And this is the thing, like if you talk to any investor right now, they're like, more pain to come. This isn't ending anytime soon. But everything with technology, especially with the algorithms and that control the stock market, it's everything. Once technology's involved and information is disseminated so quickly that everyone gets all the news at the same time, that's where the crash happened so quickly. So you had everyone with the exact same information being like, fuck this, I'm out. I'm dumping tech. I'm dumping anything on the NASDAQ. Conversely, when people start seeing signals on good stuff happening, it should skyrocket quickly too.
Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen. When that is, I can't tell you, because you'd be a trillionaire if you could. But I just think things happen faster. So the correction that took 2 years in the .com happened in 5 months here.
Yeah, I would say, 5 months is probably right. I mean, some of these drop-offs in the last 30 days of companies like Coinbase, Carvana, are staggering.
Snowflake, DoorDash.
Yeah.
You can name any growth stock. GoodRx. You can name any stock.
BadRx.
Yeah, BadRx.
It's crazy. Even like companies like Palantir, which nobody even knows what they do, and they got pummeled.
Yep.
It's wild. It's really,
and they
really...
have government contracts, which should have been stable, right? That was the whole theory behind investing in it. Yeah,
and I'm sure it is stable. I bet you, look, I think the earnings that were the surprising ones that, in Coinbase, you saw the slowdown in revenue. You saw clear reason why people got concerned. And some of these other companies, it's like they're still growing. Like they're still very healthy. They have cash. Even Coinbase has tons of cash on its balance sheet. It can weather the storm. It doesn't feel like it's heading towards like a real insolvency issue.
No, of course not. And that was such bullshit that happened after earnings. So with Coinbase, because a million people have asked me, and you see this on Twitter, the SEC forced Coinbase to put that language in their documents because, like, they hold all this Bitcoin, which is technically an asset of theirs. And in the event of a bankruptcy, they have to liquidate it. That's how any bankruptcy works.
Yeah.
No, but it caused more panic. And Brian Armstrong had to do, the CEO of Coinbase had to do a Twitter storm like, we're not insolvent. We have 7.3 billion in cash.
Yeah.
And the company's fine. No one needs to worry. But a lot of people hate Coinbase within crypto. And so they use it as like a way to pile on. If Coinbase disappears, crypto in America disappears.
Well, maybe it's time to say bye to crypto.
You've said bye to crypto a lot.
Speaking of crypto, so I want to just jump into it because I just looked it up. I had bought $2,000 of Terra Luna.
Oh, you did? You're a lunatic. You're part of the lunatics.
I'm part of the lunatics. Call me Murphy Lee. Only true St. Louis rap fans will know that reference. But I had bought it, I don't know, last summer or whenever, last fall. And I just someone told me to buy it. I bought literally $2,000 worth of it. It was sitting there. I was like, I wonder if I still have it. And I went and looked just now before we're looking at our topics. Guess what my $2,000 of Luna is worth now?
Couple bucks.
$2.97.
Yeah. I mean, it's trading at 2 cents.
That's
so to
insane.
give people context, Luna was the top 10 by market cap protocol.
Last week.
It was $120 billion market cap. And now it is worthless.
So it's never coming back.
No, it's never coming back. So this is like, it's pretty complex what happened. Luna is pegged to this stable coin called Terra. Okay. Yeah. And they call it UST. And some coins are pegged to a stable coin. Some coins are not pegged to anything. Like Bitcoin's technically pegged to like whoever has US dollars to buy it or whatever currency you use to buy it. It's not pegged to a stable coin. And the whole point of this is to kind of, it's almost like marketing, like to prove that there's a reserve currency to back your protocol. And as long as the reserve currency is there, it becomes like an intermediary that like you can go from Luna to Terra to UST to Bitcoin, and it's like an off-ramp. So what happened was many stable coins, like the big ones, have a treasury. So if you have $1 of the stable coin, you have $1 US that's in some sort of treasury that backs it. So that's actually stable. In theory, if those dollars exist. There's a lot of conspiracy theories on some of these stable coins that they're not actually, that dollar doesn't exist, which would be pretty bad. But this stable coin is algorithmic. And so it's not technically backed by $1 US or whatever you're backing it with. And someone exploited the algorithm and it started going under $1. So it's not stable anymore. So then the UST went down to 23 cents at one point. So basically it's pegged to virtually nothing. Mm-hmm. And Luna, in effect, destroyed over $100 billion of wealth.
I can't believe how many people probably got wiped out.
Yeah. Here's the issue. There's a lot of these to come. So the lunatics aren't the only ones that are going to get hit. So this guy, Duquan. He's the head of the project. And he had
the meme account?
No, not the meme account. His name is DO space KWON.
Okay.
And he's the leader of this project. And now people like think the whole thing was a scam, and it was a scam. And he had to liquidate $3.5 billion of Bitcoin yesterday, which is why Bitcoin crashed.
Oh my
He had to
God.
do it like instantly. And I'm sure a lot of people had leverage on this. I had a meeting with someone yesterday. He listens to the pod. Don't want to know if his name's on there. He said he found some exchange where you could get 1,000x leverage. And
Wow.
so he fucked around on some token, put $100 in, was like, let's see what happens. He said he got to 30,000, then he 1,000x it again, saying like, wow, if I get 1,000x it again, and then he went to zero.
Oh my God. So he only lost $100 then.
He lost $100. It was an experiment. And to see if you can get up and you get out, you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of this going on. This same person told me he's hearing of suicides of kids that had were worth $20 million in Luna coins that are now worthless.
That's terrible.
And the shitty part is a lot of young people are going to get smoked. A lot of young people, because
they already got smoked.
Well, though they're going to get more smoked. So a lot of these are scams. So this is the running pump and dump person is this guy named Mike Novogratz. He used to work at Goldman Sachs. Now he runs a fund or something called Galaxy, but he's huge in the crypto space. He's like a crypto influencer. And he went a month and a half ago and got a Luna tattoo, a huge one on his arm.
Wow.
And he started posting it. So it built the confidence, this big shot crypto guy got a tattoo in Luna. And the rumor mill is he dumped everything as soon as he got the tattoo.
Smart man.
And because crypto's unregulated, a lot of it's international, this is going to keep happening. And so you need the scams to get flushed out so the projects that are actually doing things can be built. It's just going to take time, and institutional interest will waver because we know there's more scams. And honestly, ultimately, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to ultimately win off of this because people will be like, yeah, I don't need to be a lunatic. I can just own Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of it is also you got to shake out everyone who believes you can just 1,000x, 100x. That's not real.
No, it's not real. I mean, and it's the same thing which happened to tech valuations specifically right now in the private market. People are raising at 150, 200x revenue. That's not real.
Yeah. It's kind of hot.
So, I mean, if you can get it, get it. Get it while you can. And get out while you can. Those are the lessons of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think crypto's gonna, it's gonna take some time for this to bring back confidence and capital. I mean, destroying $100 billion is just, and 99% of the people were just innocent holders, right?
Yeah, 100 billion is just staggering.
Yeah,
staggering. All right,
in 2 days. Let's be clear.
And even I'm looking at how much an ape is these days. So, I think it peaked at 150, 160 ETH. The ape coin was popping. The ape coin looks like it's, trading around $7-8. I saw it trading at $5 last night. The floor price of a ape right now is 92 ETH, which is approximately $180,000. It was 3x a month ago.
Yeah.
It's insane.
What's it in ETH right now?
92.
92 ETH. And yeah, that's, we're not in a crypto native world yet. So people price these things in USD. And unless you have a shitload of ETH, you don't price it in ETH. And the average person's just pricing it in USD.
Yeah.
And, we could talk about El Salvador. They had this experiment of buying, significant amounts of Bitcoin. And now there's rumors they're going to default on a $38 million loan payment they owe because the price of Bitcoin's down half.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing we talked about with the MicroStrategy guy who said basically their margin call starts hitting at 21,000, which,
we're close.
We're not far. Yeah. I mean, look, the El Salvadorian guy, he is going to be toast. There's no way that people are going to sit there and tolerate, this fuckery
I mean, he bought 500 more Bitcoin at 30,000. Now we're below that.
Yeah. Oof.
I mean, you these things, like, unless you're super early, you can't put like the majority of your wealth in, because the people who were super early barely had to put in any money to have reasonable sized stakes.
Yeah, they literally put like 5 Gs.
Yes. And now, like, I still believe in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Just be smart.
Yeah.
Do weekly buys, put money that you know is going to be volatile and you don't need to use it immediately.
Yeah.
But so many people in the last 2 years put their entire like free cash into these like very unstable protocols. And because of Luna, look at every altcoin. They're all down like 20-30%. It's like carnage.
Way more.
Well, it depends on the ones you look at, but yeah. And a lot of these kids have leverage, so they're getting wiped.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is interesting is that like the whole world is paying attention, specifically to crypto, more so than even the equity market. And like we were in an Uber yesterday, Josh and I, and we were just talking about this Luna thing. And the Uber driver turned around and he's like, "You think it's going to come back?" I'm like, "Why? Are you buying it?" He's like, "I'm thinking about buying it." I'm like, "I think it's a scam. I don't think it's coming back."
Yeah. And like, a lot of this stuff is meme driven. Like being called a lunatic, like I bet you built community of people like
who lost
like,
money.
I want to no before to get them to buy Luna.
Yeah,
like I want to be part of the lunatic gang. Like Mike Novogratz is my leader, right?
Yeah. Well, the other one, yeah, I mean, like all the projects we talked about on this pod are 90% cheaper. So if you're interested in them.
Do you still own your Cardano?
No, I sold that.
That's good. You made money on that, right?
Yeah, I think I turned it into ETH.
Good.
All right. Well, moving on. Okay, and coup paying earnings came out.
Yeah. On a down day, the NASDAQ was down 373 points yesterday.
Yeah.
And earnings were coming out. I was scared shitless because if you've paid attention, all these companies are down 60, 70, 80%. And then you report bad earnings, you get whacked 50%.
Yeah.
It's scary out there for tech stocks and earnings. Earnings is like the scariest thing on earth right now.
Yeah.
And they popped. And the reason why they popped is because they listened to Wall Street. So Wall Street made it clear, especially after Q1 or end of the year, grow slower and get profitable. That's the medicine they want everyone to take right now. And they were able to increase gross profit on the earnings call, like a clear path to getting to 10% EBITDA margins. And they're still growing at like 40, 50% on the top line. And Wall Street rewarded them. So that's a perfect example. I mean, the CEO is like as talented as it gets, and he's very disciplined, and the board's very savvy. And you have to listen to Wall Street if you're a publicly traded company because they determine your price. Yeah. And so the company popped in after hours and held today. And Goldman came out with a very bullish report. So this is like where I always say you have to have a long-term view. If you believe you have to have a incredible CEO because that's the most important thing, and have a long-term view. And right now, everyone wants to get it profitable. If the environment changes, they may say, grow faster. We know you can.
Yeah, I would assume the profitable narrative is going to be the one for the next year at least.
Yeah, there's a good thread on Twitter if anyone's interested. This guy, Brad Gerstner, Gerstner. And he talks about, his fund called Altimeter Capital. It's a very large growth fund. He was early in Snowflake, has a huge public position in Snowflake, Uber, Meta, and I forget the last one. But anyways, he basically like went through this thread saying, and he's like very well known in investing circles. So like he's a big deal. And he basically was like, look, we weren't fast enough on understanding what the environment is. We lost a lot of money. Wow. And he's also made a ton of money, so it's not affecting him. But the fund is obviously going to lose money in the last. I mean, every fund in the last 6 months has just been destroyed if you're exposed to technology. And he basically said we have to like change our thinking. We should have seen it faster. And it's exactly what I was saying. Like, they have to make sure their businesses produce free cash flow.
Yeah.
And the days of not producing free cash flow are over. And I think they're over until we have another like silly environment where there was just free money everywhere. And then
but that
people
could
will
be a
get
decade.
yeah, and people will get stupid again and not remember that like, hey, your companies need to generate cash. And I thought it was a good thread, and it's cool that to see a technology investor, because in technology, everyone just brags about their wins and how they're a genius and how they saw Uber was going to be the greatest company ever when they had like 5 cars in a city. And this was an honest perspective. And I think it's good for the community to see that.
What about your boy Massa? It
What
said
about
that he lost $27 billion.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. What about Tiger Global? Tiger Global, their public hedge fund is down over 50%. They've wiped out $17 billion in their hedge fund.
I think if you're a hedge fund, you hedge.
No, same friend who's doing the 1000X, he goes, in the hedge fund industry, there's no hedging. It's just funding.
Yeah, I mean,
he's like, we see a lot of fund. We don't see a lot of hedge.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the genius of hedge funds is like, we take these big bets, but we protect the downside.
Yeah, no, they don't.
So it's
mean, when you have a long only fund, where's the hedge?
Yeah,
you're long only.
Long money.
So Tiger is a crazy one. It's SoftBank 2.0 if you really think about it. Their last fund, they invested $6.5 billion in like 4 months, and all those marks are going to be down 60 to 70, 80% in the private markets and have no shot of going public.
Speaking of going public, I saw Instacart filed to go public. They got balls, huh?
They got balls. I hope it turns out for them. So, but it's a tough environment.
What's the thinking behind there? Like, hey, companies still have to go public. Well, why not us be the we think we have something so special that we're going to win Wall Street over?
It could be the board and investors, because they hired a CEO basically to take them public, and the board and the investors are like, they're still in the money, even if the valuation is like down a lot. All the early investors and the major shareholders are in the money. So this is also could be scary that funds need capital because they may forcing this company to go out in a bad environment because you just need capital back. It's going to be a very like fundraising right now for both companies and funds that need LP money is going to be extremely challenging. Like if you're a venture fund and you raise a fund in 2022 post May, you're a freaking hero.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see really how that environment also changes, because fundraising, funds still have cash. They want to deploy it. They're going to be obviously smarter about it. People are raising funds constantly. I don't know, because venture returns are going to look ugly now.
Venture returns are going to look ugly, but here's the thing about many of these funds: you get capital calls. So, like when Tiger raised $6.5 billion, because I have a friend who's in that fund, you get capital call every time they need capital to fund deals, and they do it in chunks.
So sometimes you don't pick up that call.
Exactly. You're like, no capital, no call. Yeah. And it's basically, this happened in March of 2020. All the LPs of every fund said, don't call us in April for money. And the funds had no choice, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the docs say. If they say we're not funding, like, cool, sue us.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a tough one. So I'm reading this article here. Matt Damon is getting slammed for his crypto.com commercial because of the crypto prices. I think that's just insane. Like, leave Matt Damon alone.
Well, so he's getting memed now
Yeah.
on Twitter because that commercial started airing in the beginning of November. So the actual peak. I mean, I don't know how much NFL you watched this year, but the commercial was on every single break.
And the Tom Brady one. Yeah.
And the Tom Brady one. And so everyone, the funny one I saw was, don't you guys know Matt Damon starred in Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. This is his latest heist.
That's
No, but if you think about how many celebrities are pumping, because crypto companies were paying unlimited money to all these guys, like it's all A-listers, right? Tom Brady, you have Larry David pumping something. He's pumping something on crypto.
Yeah.
Matt Damon. I mean, these are the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah. I'm okay with Larry David pumping. I like Larry David.
Yeah. Okay.
Big news. Netflix is saying that they're moving fast. Companies are making these changes fast because the market is also changing fast. Netflix says ad-supported subscription is coming this year. That's a big deal. Like
Very big deal.
Before it was like, next year or two, and now they're saying this year. I think
so Netflix is becoming like just TV with more content.
It's a cheap TV. Just think about it. Like at whatever, there was no way you could ever get cable TV for $12.99 or whatever Netflix is. Impossible.
Yeah. But you also don't get the variety.
Yeah.
You don't get to watch live events.
Yeah.
Live sports.
But yeah, I don't know what the payment, maybe it's $5 with ads. It becomes a pretty kind of huge opportunity, and be very interesting to see the advertising market for those Netflix shows, because some of these shows are the most watched shows on earth, and the way television ads are sold is by impressions and views. So that means Netflix will have to share data on the views.
And they have to prove that it's real data.
Yeah.
Because we hear these ridiculous numbers. 150 million people watch Squid Games or something, right?
Because then you would get Super Bowl type ad dollars every day on Netflix.
And because it's their technology, they can make it so you can't fast forward. So you have to see the ad. Yeah.
Kind of
hot. And it's not like TV where you can just DVR and fast forward through the ads.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting to see. But companies are moving fast. Like, you're hearing hiring freezes everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, Facebook has a hiring freeze.
Yep.
Apple's making people coming back to the office.
Yep.
And if the big tech is starting hiring freezes and changing employment hiring practices, it's going to trickle down to layoffs everywhere in tech. Forget other industries.
You know who's not laying anyone off? Saudi Aramco. They're the largest company in the world now. Can you believe, with all the things that have happened in the world with technology and Apple and Google and Facebook and Tesla, a Middle East oil company is the largest company in the world at $2.4 trillion. Just a nose hair above Apple.
Yeah, it's basically the last 5 months was a return from like the old school business guys giving the middle finger to everyone in tech that made all this money.
Yeah, they're like, we made it back in 5 months.
It's crazy. And that's where people are going to be dialing for dollars in technology.
Saudi Arabia.
You're already hearing funds going to Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait.
That means the World Cup is going to be popping because these guys are flooded with cash right now.
Yeah, they're flush with cash, and it's a great time to rebalance your economy that's like 99% based on oil. This is your chance.
Yeah. Which I think they've been doing anyways, right? They've been.
No, I know, but they could do it way more opportunistically now.
Well, yeah, you have to take their money. There's no choice.
Like there's real estate investors getting like calls from Kuwait, like, we want to fund your deals.
Wow.
In the US.
That's crazy. Very interesting to see what happens here. Moving on. This is a big story. I feel like it's the biggest story in America right now that I keep getting kind of served. There is a shortage of baby formula. And, anyone who has children, there's several different ways you can obviously feed your child. You can obviously breastfeed, and that doesn't work for all women. It works for some women. My wife did it for a year, and it's very difficult. And she was fortunate enough where she had the time and to be able to do it.
Produce milk. A lot of women can't even produce milk.
Yeah, exactly. And, baby formula, like anything.
Let me just give you a couple stats on the baby formula usage. Yeah. According to the CDC, 1 in 5 babies are on formula within 2 days of birth, and 50% are exclusively on formula after 3 months.
And the other thing with formula, like everything on earth, there's different levels of it, right? Like, so if you want super organic, clean, there's a brand. If, you're shopping at Walmart, there's a brand. And, price difference is huge from what you're able to get at a Walmart versus, what you would buy at a Whole Foods or online somewhere. And they are saying this is the worst formula shortage in decades. And obviously this is going to clearly impact the poor 100%. Yep. And Abbott Labs, who produces Similac, which is, I think, one of the larger kind of brands in America, voluntarily shut down their factory in February amid consumer complaints about contaminated formula that was linked to 2 infant deaths. As of mid-May, it is still not up and running. So this is where, you need some, this is
where the dysfunction of the government.
I blame the government on this 100%. Yes, you could blame the companies, whatever you want, but I've been hearing about a formula shortage for months. This is not new news.
Yeah, and you're talking it's going to affect tens of millions of babies, and there's no focus on it within the government. It's similar to supply chain. We saw it from a mile away. Yeah. We did nothing to unclog the ports.
Yeah, we
didn't build higher storage facilities to stack more containers. We didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And the administration just sent $40 billion to Ukraine in the last 5 months. Where's the capital to fix a formula shortage within our own country?
Yeah. You don't need 40 billion. I'll tell you that much to fix it. No chance. At some point, people need to get over, specifically on, politicians need to get over. Sometimes it is in the betterment of society to help a for-profit company for your people.
Yes.
You need to give Abbott Labs the fucking grant, a loan, the resources, taken over another factory and said, we can't have a shortage of this in our country. It's not possible.
What they should have done, this is no different than what the government did in the financial crisis. They made money. The government made money on all the bailouts. You could just bail out Abbott, give a convertible note, and say hey, you're paying. This is what Buffett did with Goldman. He was clipping 15% coupons to save the fucking bank. And why isn't the government doing that with Abbott? Hey, you're going to pay a 20% interest loan. And here's $10 billion. Solve this in a week.
Yeah. It's insane.
It's the dysfunction. This is why, and they don't get held accountable. No one. I'm not saying this is a Democrat, Republican thing. It's just the FDA. This is it's supposed to be a nonpartisan, the FDA should be going to the administration and say, hey, I need $10 billion.
Yeah. Let's solve this problem. This is going to affect our people.
I mean, they're talking people are rationing formula. Their kids are starving, making formula on their own, which is potentially deadly. This is so ridiculous.
So stupid.
I can't believe this is happening.
Very sad and unfortunate for so many families all over.
And there's special needs communities where they only eat formula. So it's disproportionately affecting poor people, special needs people. It's just fucked
everything.
up.
It's always like that.
Yeah. And now CVS and Walmart, all these stores are limiting the number of formula you can buy at the stores because there's a run on formula.
CVS the other day picking up something for our kids, and it was signs everywhere on
Really?
formula. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was very clear. You can't, it was exactly like during peak COVID on paper towels and toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
you can take your 2 paper towels, you can take your 1 bag of toilet paper, and that's it.
You know what we learned in COVID is that if you throw enough money at a problem, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Everyone doubted the vaccine could ever be made. They referenced every disease in mankind. Look at how long it took to cure this disease, blah, blah. They did it within the actual mRNA vaccine was formulated in 2 days.
Yeah.
In January of 2021 or January of 2020, before the pandemic even hit America.
Wild.
And then it was produced because we threw hundreds of billions of dollars at it.
Insane. Well, sad. Let's hope they figure it out and someone up there pays attention to solving this problem immediately. Hope they're actually coming up with solutions.
Yep.
All right, let's jump into winners, losers, and content. All right, now it's time for winners, losers, content. Anand, who is your winner of the week?
So my winner of the week, every headline is markets are crashing, crypto's done, blah, blah, blah. The sky's falling. But somehow the people that attended Formula One in Miami are still winning.
Yeah.
Everything, by all accounts, looked absolutely on fire. We heard the pricing on tables and the Carbone dinner, which was $3,000 a head, and that was sold out. Every celebrity was there. LeBron James, David Beckham, Michael Jordan. And then all the people that have to pay to hang out with these folks at these exclusive events, people are still winning. And it's them.
Yeah. Everyone that went to Formula One is a winner in my book.
I agree.
That's great. That's a great winner. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think very hard to find winners this week, really given the fact that like how difficult it's been for the financial markets and COVID cases and all of these things. But my winner of the week is the NBA. And really because we had a bunch of friends that set up a FanDuel, and for whatever reason, I decided to jump in on one of the FanDuels this weekend. And man, I got hooked. I'm addicted. Maybe the winner is FanDuel.
Yeah, you're addicted.
And I missed the FanDuel yesterday, and I was bummed out that I missed it, even though I was so busy with just work. But like, man, FanDuel is great.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really fun. It's so easy. It takes 30 seconds. I never win at anything in these contests, like fantasy football. I've never won in my life, and I've been playing for 20 years. And I actually won one FanDuel. Yeah,
I got second place, and I was like, man, they just rope you in once you win a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's addicting. It's a great product.
It's a great product. It's a great experience, and we did it obviously for NBA. I'm guessing it's every sport now that they have FanDuels for.
And props to our leader, our friend, who's like organizing it every day. Yeah, Mark Bretter, just the king of a 13-person from FanDuel. Great commissioner.
Amazing. All right, who's your loser of the week?
The loser of the week is all of us that weren't at Formula One. And, there's a lot of pain in the streets. Things are expensive, but everything will pass. We're losers for now, but everything that goes down eventually stabilizes from a market standpoint. The inflation is real. I was just talking to Logan in the office. He said an avocado that he used to get at Trader Joe's was $2.99. Now it's $6.99.
Whoa.
And he was like asking me about the CPI. He goes, when's this going to end? I was like, I wish I had the answer.
Yeah.
At least food, I don't think it's ending anytime soon because of the war. And obviously there's lockdown still. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for stabilization.
Yeah, I mean, look, the loser is obvious. It's everyone that has any money in the stock market, crypto. It's really, really ugly out there. And, the one thing that, it happens on both ways. When things are going up, the talking heads, talk it up. And then when things are going down, people pile on the negative. And so as someone that has lived through, post 9/11, the 2008 crash, and I would say I'm a seasoned veteran when it comes to economic collapse. Overreacting and making rash decisions and being negative does not help the situation. And cooler heads will always prevail. Yes, there will be things that'll be difficult. Yes, there'll be times that'll be tough. But, the good thing is everyone's going through it together. Similar to what happened with COVID, everyone played ball. Like, everyone around you played ball because they knew it was everyone's best interest to figure this out together. And that's what's going to happen here. You may feel alone right now, but have the conversations and, don't feel overwhelmed. And I'm a person that has felt overwhelmed in these times, but I'll tell you that you got to talk it out and find solutions. There are solutions where everyone can be acceptable to, even in these tough times.
Yeah. No, totally.
Content.
This morning I actually listened to a podcast. The podcast is Invest Like the Best. I've mentioned it a million times on here. And one of the partners from Andreessen Horowitz, Jeff Jordan, was on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's particularly useful for people who have never invested in technology, that don't understand how companies get these crazy valuations and what makes a hot deal. Like, let's take out the last 5 months and the corrections, right? And I know it's like everything's come down, but he explains very clearly the power of a marketplace, what he's looking for, how to think about why he thought D2C businesses weren't defensible. And he looks for fragmented markets where it's really hard to aggregate stuff. And that's his specialty. And I think it's really good if you've never invested in a technology company. You wonder why they get rewarded.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. Mine is, I've been talking about it. It's the first season basically ended, which is both the Magic Johnson documentary that our friends did, which is phenomenal, and then Winning Time, which I know everyone piles on and doesn't like. It's unbelievable show. I highly recommend everyone watching it. It's
Winning Time. Here's the problem with Winning Time. I know it's wildly entertaining. Everyone has said that. I couldn't, after the first episode, I checked out because I was like, they're just making up stuff. And being a Laker fan my whole life, and I was a little too young for the 80s teams, but I read enough about Magic, Jerry West, and all the guys that are featured in the show, and Dr. Buss. And the problem is, for people that are casual fans, they think that's the truth. Yep. And that's it's that there's a theory when you read something that you're an expert about, you find all the flaws, and then you just take the next thing as oh, that's a fact. I understand, a few technology companies, but then, and I see an article in Wall Street Journal, I'm like, they're getting it all wrong. But then I turn the page and I read some conflict in Israel, Palestine. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah. And you accept it as fact.
Accept it as fact.
Yeah, I get it. It's just so good. It's just really well done.
I heard the last episode on a sports podcast gets really out of hand. The liberty they take on making up shit.
It's so good. I love it. I don't really care. I mean, I don't know what to believe anyways. So just entertain me.
Yeah. They might have gone a little too far from what I hear. That's why Jerry West, who's featured on the show, is suing. He's suing the creator.
Jerry West particularly is portrayed as just a disaster of a human being.
Which I think we know people who know his son, right?
Yeah. I've never heard that.
I've never heard something negative about Jerry West. He's widely loved in the NBA. In NBA circles, he's absolutely loved. And if he was this bad of a guy, why would everyone love him?
Yeah. We'll see. All right. Do we have any shout outs?
No shout outs.
All right. Well, have a wonderful weekend. Pray to the stock market gods.
Yep.
the crypto gods, the inflation gods, the Russian-Ukraine gods, the oil gods, and maybe Monday. If all of those things fix themselves, we could have a great week next week.
Yeah. And pray for China to get off lockdowns. That's affecting a lot of this.
Oh yeah, pray for China lockdowns. Hashtag a lot of praying.
Yeah. Get religious.
Get religious this weekend. All right, we will see you back here on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Peace.